Welcome back to JB Reviews. As most of you guys probably know, the tariffs are impacting, in quotations, pricing. So I just saw an article pop up on my computer about Ford raising pricing for 3 models. I did not read the article yet, but I wanted to ask you guys, do you think that the Ford Super Duty and half tons are going to go up in price? That is the question. Now here's the second question. Ford Super Duties got redesigned in 2023. So potentially next year there could be some updates, which means we'll talk about it in a second. I don't want to talk about it right now, but I want to read the article. Let's just see which models, there's 3 of them, are going to see price increases. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure bell notifications are on. Let's get into this. The article I have here is on FordAuthority.com. It says here, Ford expects tariffs to increase prices by a marginal amount in H2. Following U.S. President Donald Trump's move to impose 25% tariffs on imported automobiles in early April, automakers have been working to mitigate the impacts of those levies in various ways. Regardless, many have warned that these tariffs would ultimately prompt automakers to increase prices as a result, and thus far, the Blue Oval has done precisely that, albeit in a lesser way, on several of its imported models. Looking ahead, Ford also expects tariffs to result in a small price increase through Q2 as well. We now expect industry pricing related to tariffs to increase about 1% to 1.5% in the second half of the year. Ford CFO Sherry House revealed during the automaker's Q1 2025 earnings call with investors. Despite this, Ford expects that it will suffer a net adverse adjusted EBIT impact of around $1.5 billion for the entirety of 2025 due to existing levies, and it opted to suspend its full-year guidance at the same time, with plans to provide an update during its Q2 earnings call. Now, EBIT is probably some type of tax maybe, but yes, right then and there. So they're expecting pricing to increase by 1 to 1.5%. Now, obviously, most people are gonna throw shade at the current administration because, oh, well, they shouldn't do this because it's gonna obviously fall on the consumers. Well, remember this, never forget how that always sounds. If the manufacturers have to increase pricing because they were building the cars overseas cheaper, which meant fewer Americans had jobs here, right? I think that they should not even pass on any of the costs. Remember, from about 2021 on, pricing has just skyrocketed. And there's really no rhyme or reason to it. Obviously, there was a lot of stuff flying around, right? Chip shortages, obviously supply and demand was probably the biggest factor we know to be true. But reality is pricing hasn't gone down. We don't have the crisis that we had anymore. But yet inventory is high and prices are still high too. So here are the 3 models that are going to be getting increases because of the tariffs. First is Ford Maverick. Ford Maverick being the compact pickup truck. Ford Bronco Sport, which is the smaller version of the Bronco, and the Ford Mustang Mach-E, which is the all-electric Mustang SUV, or crossover, whatever you want to call it. Now, for the Lincoln Nautilus, they have not increased prices because all of these models are made in Mexico. Starting with the Mustang Mach-E, they're saying pricing will go up between $1,500 and $2,500, which that's a big mistake. I mean, right now, there's not a big push for EVs, so they should probably just absorb that cost for sure for that. As far as the Bronco Sport, $120 to $1,510 increase. The Maverick is getting a $645 to $1,150 price increase. My humble opinion is, I think that they should probably absorb for all of these models. Just my opinion. The Maverick, when it first came out, that truck was a price leader. You couldn't get a truck that cheap. No one had a pickup that cheap. And Ford came into a market, and the Maverick is very popular. And it still continues to be popular, even though the pricing can now exceed over $40,000, but still, it's a nimble pickup. It gets great fuel economy. I did a fuel economy run, if you want to go back and watch the video. But regardless of it, you could get that truck for under 20 grand, but now you can't because of inflation, all that stuff. You know, it was a buyer's market at the time when those trucks came out, and those trucks were literally on a waiting list. People were waiting to build them because Ford could not keep up. And here we are. That truck is so expensive now that I think that it's almost kind of out of reach for some people, because for me personally, if I was looking for a smaller pickup, I would just get a midsize at that point for $40,000. Now, it ends off by saying these price hikes will reportedly affect vehicles built after May 2nd, 2025, pertaining to units slated to arrive at dealers in late June. A Ford spokesperson noted that these increases reflect usual mid-year pricing actions. Combined with some tariffs we are facing, we have not passed on the full cost of tariffs to our customers. I guess thank you, Ford, for not passing on the whole cost. I don't know. So the good news is, if you are looking at an F-150 or Super Duty pickup, you're not going to see any price increases due to tariffs. However, the parts for those trucks probably are built elsewhere, which means there could be price increases for parts. But the other factor to this is this. F-150 just got refreshed. We know that. The problem is the Super Duties are due for a refresh possibly next year, which means Ford can manipulate that a little bit, right? Because they can add a whole new front fascia, add some new updates, do some updates to the powertrains, add a new powertrain possibly. And now they have a reason to show, hey, price is gonna go up a little bit, right? Regardless of that, I don't think that these prices should go up a penny more. Obviously, every year pricing goes up. We know that. Even from the time I was a kid and I used to read car magazines, the car prices would go up by a couple $100 here and there. Sometimes it would go down. Like, for example, like the F-150, on the Lariat, the pricing went down, but it's because they took away features that were once standard. And now you have to go up to another equipment group. And so that's why I feel as though the manufacturers, they make enough money to obviously continue to run their companies. But for your smallest vehicles that you have, which are price leaders, and for the Mustang Mach-E, I'm sure people are still buying that vehicle. I mean, EVs are still popular in their own way, but there's not a push anymore from the government to make people want to buy these cars, right? So hopefully, they don't mess with the Super Duty pricing, because these trucks are expensive. I just did a video comparing the XLT and Lariat Super Duty, and basically the XLT was like $83,000 and the Lariat was like $85,000. An XLT work truck with cloth seats, $83,000. Insane. Now obviously you can get a truck a lot cheaper if you get a gas engine without all the night edition packages, but still, once you add a diesel option to it, the trucks are going to be over $70,000. So yes, pricing is just way out of control. So hopefully in the future, Ford will work with customers. You know, I'm hoping that as inflation continues to come down, maybe some of the prices will not go up as much as they have been, because from 2020 to now, look at how much truck prices increased. Actually, let's take a quick peek. Let's take a look and see what starting price Ford Super Duty was in 2020, and then we'll look at it for 2025. I'll show it to you guys here. So for 2020, starting MSRP was $35,730 per car and driver, and $47,395 for the 2025 model year. That is $11,665 difference in just 5 years, which is $2,333. That to me is insanity. $2,333 a year price increase. Back in 2020, I wanted to order a Ford Super Duty F350 with the 7.3 gas. I went to 2 different stores, one of which I did videos at and helped them get a lot of sales. They basically told me that if I wanted to get a truck, get allocation, I would have to pay $5,000 over MSRP. And I was like, well, could I at least just buy it for sticker because I wasn't going to trade my Ram in at the time. I just wanted to test out the gas engine. And they were like, no, it'll be $5 grand over. So I said, screw that. And I went up and bought a Hellcat because at the time they had like $7,000+ of rebates because it was like for every 100 horsepower, they gave you 1,000 in rebate. And I got employee pricing at the time on the car. So I got the car super cheap. I made money on that car selling it. But yes, that's where we are today. The market is still inflated. Now, are tariffs going to help? Are they going to help maybe lower inflation a little bit? Maybe bringing more jobs back here? I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market simply because people are just, seeing just how inflated things are. Things have been inflated for a long time. And the last administration didn't do much for it. I mean, what did they do to help try to curb inflation? Please, someone in the comment section, let me know. I don't know if anything they did, but at least we are seeing movement this time around. We're seeing good movement. And whether we have a little bit of tough times or not, there's movement. There's something actually happening. We see someone working to bring jobs back to America. And so the manufacturers need to do their part by helping the consumers, because even if it's for a short period of time, right, we can all work together. And so that's pretty much where we are right now. I think that the tariffs are a good thing regardless of how you look at it. Yeah, it's going to make things a little bit more expensive, but at the same time, if we work together, we can probably bridge the gap somewhere. So hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, make sure notifications are on. Peace.